with Hashem's loving grace, we're going to learn tonight how to make peace with ourselves. Not only that, we're going to learn to be our own therapists. Our own therapists. Anyone who engages in daily self-assessment is self-therapy. There's self-assessment. We say, well, how can I talk to myself? You're not talking to yourself. You're talking to the Almighty. And the Almighty, He runs your brain. The Almighty is putting in thoughts, is activating your brain. And so when you speak to the Almighty and you get insights, a little flash, these flashes, the Eureka flash, that's the Almighty. That's right there. So you're not alone. You're not alone. And the more people realize that they're together with the Almighty, the more they have a smile on their face. Okay. So now old Isaac takes us up to his mountain right behind his lodge. And up there, if you can imagine, Switzerland, the Alps, Colorado, it's a combination of everything. It's a kaleidoscope. And beautiful flora and fauna. And there are birds and animals that you don't find anywhere else. One of the birds that old Isaac teaches about, it's an allegorical bird that teaches us about ourselves. This is a special bird, beautiful in flight. Have you ever seen a falcon in flight? See a falcon? It's majestic. See, even I think a falcon is much more majestic than an eagle. And that's why there's really, in the Air Force, they call their F-15 the Falcon. After the Falcon because of what it could do. A falcon, its aviary skills are unbelievable. And it's like an aerial show to watch a falcon in flight. Okay. But flakefoot falcons, they get their name from a particular hereditary trait. They have a hereditary psoriasis, a gene that makes their feet flake. And they're very self-conscious about their flaking feet. Okay. So like we said, they have the falcons, they have this avian splendor. They fly gorgeous. They're beautiful. And they're beautiful birds. They have proud faces. And if we would learn, I think an aerodynamic engineer, he could learn a lot about aerodynamics by looking at the way a falcon is built. His wings, his legs, it's his landing gear, the way he tucks it, the way he flies. Everything's beautiful. Okay. But as opposed to other species and other predatory species, okay, falcons, they're skilled hunters, but they're already very fiercely loyal mates. And that's why they're the birds with a high moral character. Okay, they're loyal to one another. And if you have a nest with falcons and they're young, they're sucklings, no strange falcon can come in there. He'd be risking his life. Okay, so religiously, falcons, they're monogamous. They have one mate, and it is known with two types of birds, or three types of birds, really, pigeons, doves, and falcons, that when the mate dies, very shortly, the other one dies too, because they're so loyal to one another, they can't live without one another. Okay. A falcon is built to fly. That is flying and hunting. That's where he feels best. A falcon feels terrible walking on the ground. You can see certain birds, like I mentioned last week, in Israel, before the rains come, we have what we call a nachlieli. Nachlieli is a white wingtail. They have them in the Mideast, in the Far East. Before the rains come, you see these little white wagtails. And they run across the ground. They fly a short way and they run across the ground. They're at home on short flights. So they're at home on the ground. Falcons are not at home on the ground. They're self-conscious. They feel terrible on the ground. Not only that, the higher a falcon flies, the better it feels. And the faster it goes, the more exhilarated it feels. This is it like this because a falcon has a lot of spirituality. King David teaches of all the birds, and the falcons were the birds of hunters, the birds of princes. It was in ancient Rome, and even today in Manchuria, and the Russian side of China, the northern China, and Manchuria. Hunters, they have a falcon. It's a sign of status when a hunter has a falcon on his shoulder. He has a trained falcon. Okay. Old Isaac says that the falcons, they say a psalm, they have their own psalm. Then when they fly really high, they say a passage of Psalm 19, that the sky tells of God's glory and the horizon praises its handiwork. Because up there, they could see the sky, they could see the horizon. So if you see a falcon in flight It's like this magnificent monarch. Look at his domain. Right? Give a little longer explanation of falcon to show you what this falcon has so much to feel good about. This falcon has so much to be proud. Okay. Then if that falcon, all of a sudden he's flying, he's having a great time, but he remembers the needs of his family, he right away is responsible. So he does a nosedive, but looking for some mouse or some little rodent or something that he could take home and feed the family. And unbelievable hunter. And he's got eyes. I don't know if NASA cameras have eyes like a flakefoot falcon. They could see from hundreds of meters in the air. They could see a little rodent crawl on the ground. They could see their prey, and they do a nosedive. And the way they do a nosedive, and it could pull back. You can see a jet airplane have to pull back on the throttle. How that naturally it doesn't crash into the ground. It dives down with such speed, trying to catch its prey, which it usually does, and right on time, pulls back, grabs the prey with its claws, and up it goes back to the family. So usually their nests are above canyon floors especially in Israel. You can find if you go in the Negev canyons, you could find the falcons there because it's very difficult. No human being, and certainly predators like wolves or mountain lions. We have mountain lions in the Negev Judea desert. They can't reach them. They put in a very safe place, and you have to be a good pilot to get there, good in flight. Okay, so we say the falcon, it's a great hunter, and it's a great in flight, and it's spellbinding. But now you put them on the ground, and the falcon becomes depressed. And what's going on? Okay, so here we have to learn one thing. This is one first thing. We're now going to learn our first lesson for tonight's lesson. Lesson number 1. Now, remember this carefully. Going to look for your good points. Rabbi Nachman of Breslov writes about this in his section 282 of the first part of Likutei Moran, looking for your good points. Look for your good points, all right? Look for your good points. Don't look at people at the deficits and bad, it pulls you down. And if you're not, it's so simple to understand. A person looks at the modern society, wants to tell you what is beauty, wants to tell you what is strength, wants to tell you what is intelligence. You can't, the media doesn't teach you. You don't get, and people go on social media, TikTok, suicides, Facebook, suicides. There have been WhatsApp groups, suicides, when the teenage groups and they ostracize someone and make fun of someone and the whole group. Don't let a group define who you are. The Almighty defines who you are, and you define who you are with daily self-assessment, okay? So the flakefoot falcon, he goes on the ground and he looks at the other birds prancing around the ground. They've got these beautiful legs. If he goes to a pond in Florida, no, that's not your habitat. Your habitat is in the desert in the canyon or out in the mountains in Manchuria, not in Miami Beach by the poolside. That's not you. If I would chastise, if I was the spiritual guide of a flakefoot falcon, I said, what are you doing there? You're not supposed to be here. Miami is not your home. Okay, go back to the Negev desert, go back to Manchuria. That's your natural habitat. Oh no, but it's depressed. Why is it depressed? Because it's got these flaky legs and flaky psoriasis. Look at the flamingos. Look at these beautiful legs. You think a flamingo with his pot belly, okay, got these beautiful pink legs and this nice beak. You think a flamingo can get off the ground? It's lazy. It's lazy. They can't get off the ground. Even a stork said, no, but the flakefoot falcon, but yeah, but the stork, it's got nice legs too, and it can get off the ground. You tell me, okay, a stork is like a B-51. It can fly long. It's like a bomber plane. You're like a jet airplane. The stork doesn't have the acceleration you do. The stork is not a hunter. You're a hunter. What do you look at the other birds? Look at this. I'm not a falcon. I'm not a stork, and I'm not I'm not a pelican. I'm not this. I'm not. No, you're a falcon. You're a champion. You're king of the air, even more than an eagle. I think eagles have been crowned king of the birds, maybe because of their size, that they're bigger than a falcon. Okay, and a falcon, if he was in a direct confrontation with an eagle, because of the eagle's strength, he might not overcome the eagle, but the falcon is faster. And the falcon has unbelievable prowess, fantastic prowess. And the falcon is not a flamingo. So I'm going to tell this falcon, the Almighty created you a falcon and not a flamingo. If you're a flamingo, you'd be in a hotel by some poolside in Miami Beach or Copacabana, and you wouldn't be where you are. But you put that flamingo 1 hour, not one day, 1 hour in the desert, and it's finished. It can't exist there. Okay, so we learn that the Almighty creates every single creation. If we're talking about a bird, the more so for a human being. Okay, the bird, the human being is much more complex than an animal or a bird. So if a bird has its own traits and its own talents and aptitudes, you can't begin to fathom your talents and aptitudes. And if you're not happy, it's because you haven't cultivated your talents and aptitudes, because maybe you haven't counseled yourself. And this is something else that an outside counselor can't necessarily do this, because the outside counselor is tainted with his or her own preconceptions. It doesn't know what's going inside your head. The only one that knows what's going inside your head, inside your heart, inside your soul, that's the Almighty. Now, I'm not saying that psychotherapists don't have a place in the world, but to find your place, okay, sure, they help people with lots of different issues. But as far as finding yourself and your own talents, you don't need a vocational counselor. All you need is counsel yourself, and that's what we learned tonight. Okay, so give an example. In modern society, with the passivity, suppose the Almighty gave you a brilliant mind. Excuse me, beloved brother, beloved sister, what are you doing in front of the TV screen? You've got a fantastic mind. And now that you're watching TV, it's passive. What are you doing in front of Facebook? Okay, just popping away and watching this post and that post, or TikTok or Instagram, and people are putting on a show to say how great they are, what they are, to publicize themselves. What for? It's all, they say in French, garbage. It's not real. It's not real. People are playing virtual lives. Don't live a virtual life, real life. Take that fantastic power of thinking, that power of invention, that power of intuition, and use it for the best. The same thing with your body. If you've got a body, a potential of building your body, a strong body, you can do great things with it. What are you doing on the sofa in front of the TV? Couch potato. And especially with a Coca-Cola and with terrible, destroy your teeth and give you all types of problems, and a thing of potato chips and put all that sodium in your body. What are you doing? Well, passivity. Entertainment. One term I cannot stand in the English language is pastime. Pastime means something to kill time, wasting time. The Melitzer Rebbe says there's one thing that Torah scholars never have. They never have time. If you see somebody that's a real Torah scholar, he's got always in a rush, because he knows what every moment he could get closer to the Creator. Every moment he could sharpen his mind. Every moment he can maybe save for every word of Torah he learns, he could save lives. Who knows that there's somebody lying in ambush for an Israeli soldier on the border, and this one Torah scholar, he learns another word, this guy saves his life, and the enemy's gun jams. These are things that are real. This is spiritual reality. So don't let society tell you who you are. You tell who yourself are. Okay, and so you and I, cherished brothers and sisters, we're no different from that flakefoot falcon. And when we identify and cultivate our own talents and aptitudes, we not only survive, but we unlock the doors to success and to happiness. If you're an artist, that the Almighty gave you a fantastic eye for art and appreciation of brain, and eye-hand coordination. Someone puts a brush in your hand. Someone gives you a palette, puts you in front of a canvas. and you start doing things on campus you never believed you could do. And you see, what a feeling of accomplishment. What a feeling of accomplishment. Suppose that you're mechanically talented, but you never tried. Okay, you've got a clogged carburetor, and you open the hood of your car, then you look, and you've got a technical mind, and you take apart the carburetor, and you clean it, you put it back together, and the car purrs. You feel so great. You've just cultivated your talent. And that's what we have to do. Now, imagine we have to look for our own talents. In a moment, we're going to see how to do this. Imagine how frustrated and depressed Ray Charles or Stevie Wonder would be if they had dreams of being fighter pilots. Both were blind. They were maybe in modern music, two of the best of the late 1900s, the 1960s, 1970s, 1980s. We all love Ray Charles, Stevie Wonder. That was at a student university. Stevie Wonder was blind. But both Ray Charles and Stevie Wonder had perfect pitch. They could not see a thing. You put them in front of a piano and let them on the piano, perfect pitch. They would know if something was an eighth of a tone off. Okay, so this is what they did. They did exactly what they were supposed to do. I'll give you another example. Our own Yitzchak Perlman from Israel. Yitzchak Perlman is paraplegic in a wheelchair. Have you ever heard Yitzchak Perlman play the violin? His violin can laugh, it can cry. I can't listen to Yitzchak Perlman playing the violin with dry eyes. His violin's got a soul. It comes alive. It's unbelievable. So suppose Yitzchak Perlman's dream was to be on the Israeli Olympic sprinting team or to play football for Manchester United. Oh, he would be one unhappy camper. But he cultivated his music talents. The same thing goes through all through history. Helen Keller, all things of Franklin Roosevelt that became president of the United States and in World War II. Okay, FDR was crippled. He was also paraplegic. That didn't stop him from being president of the United States. Okay, so what he did, he had a brilliant mind. He circumvented his physical weaknesses. The fact that he could not walk or run did not bother. It didn't bother his ability to serve as president of the United States. Okay, so you see, as soon as you start cultivating your own abilities, and even if you're working a job, maybe you don't particularly love it, but you're doing it, making a living. Okay, you don't work in a job 24 hours a day. Well, cultivate you come home, you're a good cook. Okay, cook dinner, do things. Use your imagination. Your family, ooh and ah about your fantastic cooking. Cultivate your cooking. Cultivate whatever talent you have. You have to look at your talents. Okay, and you can't look at your talents if you're busy being jealous of someone else and looking at other people. This has to stop right away. Do not look at anyone else on earth. Don't be jealous of anyone else on earth. Don't be jealous of their money. Don't be jealous of their furniture. Don't be jealous of their spouses. Nothing. This is in the 10 Commandments. Thou shalt not covet. This is the 10 Commandments. The Almighty is telling us. Why did he put this in the 10 Commandments? Don't be jealous of anyone. Covetry is jealousy. And this is a violation. Think about it. Some say, wait a second. What am I doing wrong by coveting? I can understand lying. Can't have a society if everybody's a liar. Okay. I guess someone has to tell the politicians that. Okay. You can't have a society if everyone goes around killing. That's in the 10 Commandments too. You can't have a society if a person has to nail all his possessions down to the floor because people are going around stealing. We know everything in the 10 Commandments, it uproots society, especially with the first 5 commandments on the right side tablet. That's the commandments between man and God. On the left side tablet, you shouldn't commit adultery, you shouldn't steal, you shouldn't kill, you shouldn't bear false witness, and shouldn't covet. These are the 5 commandments that are between human and fellow human. And coveting is there because the Almighty says you don't need to be jealous of anyone. You don't need to be jealous of anything else because if you're jealous of someone, you're not looking at yourself. That other person, he or she has their job to do on earth, and you have your job to do on earth. So when you're jealous and when you covet, you're a double loser. Of course, depressed, because you can't be that other person because the Almighty did not give you their talents and aptitudes. Now, that's reason number one for depression. Reason number two for depression is that you're not using your own talents and aptitudes. You say, why don't I have gold? Hey, look inside your pockets. You've got diamonds and rubies. Oh, yeah, you don't have gold, but your diamonds and rubies are worth more than gold. It's like somebody with gold, why don't I have silver? And somebody with silver, why don't I have copper? Silly. The Almighty gave you silver. What do you worry about copper for? Oh, but the other guy, he's got heavy pockets. He's got heavy pockets. Your one piece of silver, your one piece of gold is worth pounds and pounds of copper. What are you jealous about? This, I'm being a little bit exaggerating. This is what we call Talmudic exaggeration, to bring the point home, to understand what we all do to ourselves. We all persecute ourselves, and it's needless persecution, and it brings us down. So from this moment on, we have to bring ourselves up and only look at the good points, the talents, and the aptitudes that you're a South African diamond mine. You go in South Africa and go down below Germany, the deep diamond mine, they're way deep in the bowels of the earth. And there are diamonds are charcoal that have had millions and millions and millions of tons of pressure applied to them. And they crystallize at these diamonds. That's where you get them. All right. So you got deep, deep down in your side is a South African diamond mine. And you've got that. People talk about the fires of purgatory. I'm going to tell you what the fires of purgatory are. Okay, right now, the fires of purgatory are embarrassment. When you're embarrassed, your face feels like it's on fire, right? You get flashy red. I'll bring a spiritual concept and turn it into a parable that everyone can understand. All right, here is what happens when a person leaves this earth after his or her 120 years on earth and goes up to the next world. And you can see that this is written in Torah sources and revealed sources, Kabbalistic sources. But I'll explain it this way. You're in the heavenly court. It's like a theater where you can't see the justice. You see there's a big light shining on you. And when you're in a dark room, the light is shining on you, can't see the black, still like blackness. Well, in that audience, in the blackness, and it's a theater, and you're on stage, and you're sitting in a chair, and you're immobile. You can't move. You can't move. You're sitting static. And there's this bright light shining on you. And you're forced to see a movie. The chair swivels around, and you look at the screen behind you, and you see two movies. One movie, the first movie is really embarrassing. The first movie, they show a movie of your life, and everyone sees the religious court judges and the souls of your parents, the souls of your loved ones, and they see everything you did in your life. Now, beloved brothers and sisters, this is even the stuff behind closed doors that a person is not proud of. This is shown, except when a person has done penitence, and done tshuva, and made amends for it. If it's something that embarrasses, something that Hashem didn't want, and he asks forgiveness, this gets wiped off. This is edited out of the movie. Okay, see everything you do. For the things, the bad things that someone has done, they're still in there if that person has not done penitence. All right. Well, that can be a very embarrassing movie because there's stuff that we didn't want other people to know, but it's right there, right up there. You see the whole thing. The second movie is even worse. The second movie is what you could have done with your life if you weren't jealous of other people and if you didn't waste your time and you weren't on the social media and you're this. But I can tell you one thing. Anyone in this group that together with them 1 hour, everybody's covered because participation in a 1 hour, learning to get close to Hashem, this by way of effort, it doesn't matter the final outcome. It matters your desire. you're taking an hour, and with questions, sometimes it turns an hour and a half of your time every week to get close to Hashem. So this shows what you want to do. This shows your desire. Okay, you didn't succeed, but the success or failure is not up to you. It's up to Hashem. But Hashem, I wanted to learn emunah. I wanted to better myself. I did learn how not to be jealous and how to find my good points. Okay, but for the people who don't, they show what they could have done. Wow, is that embarrassing? Can you imagine if a person spent his or her life at the poolside playing bridge or mahjong when she could have taught autistic kids how to speak, or if she could have done something fantastic? She could have been a neurological surgery nurse, a guy who spent his time sitting in front of the telly, watching sports, watching wrestling, watching boxing. And they show him, if he would have sit down and opened his books, he had a head for chemistry and biology. He could have become a surgeon. He could have become a research physician, discover a cure for cancer. Oh, unbelievable. Because the potential that the Almighty gives each one of us, rarely do we fulfill even a small part of that potential. So that is the fire of purgatory, the embarrassment that a person has when he or she sees that, heaven forbid, 100 times heaven forbid, that they wasted their lives. And that's something, we don't want to go there. So we learn about this now. Now we got still plenty of time left. The game's not over yet. The game's not over till the final second. And as long as Rabbi Nachman says, as long as the candle is burning, we can still correct. As long as the candle burning means it's almost this candle that's throughout Torah. It's King Solomon's metaphor for the soul. And as long as the candle is burning, as long as that soul is still in the body and the body's alive, we can still rectify. Okay, so now we're going to learn how to find our good points. And once we do find those good points and we begin to enhance them, like I mentioned, wow, success, much more than we ever imagined. Potential, forget about it. Your potential could do unbelievable things. Okay, so this is what I do all the time in personal counseling. People come to me with problems. The first thing I do is get off the negative. Okay, here's the problem. Let's look at your good points. Fun. And get them to think positive. Once you get thinking a positive mode puts a person in happiness. Happiness mode expands the mind. When a person is depressed, you can see his forehead crinkles down. He becomes like a contraction of the brain. Can't think properly. So when a person does, he can't think properly. So, and then to enable a person to think properly, get him in a happy mode. Okay, in a happy mode, a good person who doesn't feel good when you get a compliment. And especially, when a compliment is true or not. If someone says, "Oh, you're the best basketball player in the world," that doesn't make you feel good because it's not true. But if someone says, "What a special person you are, how kind you are, and your character, what impeccable character, and what consideration, and never seen such a nice person," already makes you feel good, and it gives you encouragement to do even more. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is find our good points. Okay, establish our good points. Right now, look, what can I do? What am I good at? What am I not good at? And make a list of things you like to do, things you don't like to do, and you could find out, make your good points. For example, if you think something is bad, that you're not 6'11" or 7 feet tall, then the Almighty didn't intend for you to be a basketball player, right? Now, once we learn to look for the good points, and it's the way we learn for good points is one thing: do not be jealous of anyone else. Thou shalt not covet. You take a good look at yourself. What do I like to do? What do I enjoy doing? What am I good at? And even if it's something mundane, something simple. You say, okay, I'm good at solving crossword puzzles. Okay, if you're good at solving crossword puzzles, then take the aptitude in the brain that helps you solve a crossword puzzle can also help you solve a problem of a missing variable. In other words, it means that you think out of the box. Because I'll give you an example. Some societies think outside the box. I had a school principal in Canada, a Jewish school principal in Canada. He complained to me that one of his teachers gave a test, and all the parents protested against the test. The teacher in that test asked a group of 7th grade kids, what was the name of Moses's father-in-law? Okay. None of the kids answered. Well, Jethro. Well, the parent says, that's not written explicitly in the Torah, the word father-in-law. Okay. But it is, but they didn't say, the kids that didn't learn it that way. They learned that the father of Moses' wife, who was Zipporah, that was Jethro, Yitro. Okay. But they said if he would ask what was the name, the parents complained and said he should have asked, what was the name of the father of Moses' wife? Because that's what the girls learn. So the teacher said, wait a second, father-in-law means the father of the wife. Oh, no, but that's not explicit. I'm giving an example how people think like mules with patches on their eyes. They can't look to the right or left. The horses with the blinders on their eyes. The old time to go down the streets, the horse wouldn't look to the right or left, just look where it's supposed to go. Or an ox plowing also with blinders. Okay, people learn with blinders. Think out of the box. A person that can solve crossword puzzles thinks outside the box. But people don't give themselves a credit. So people say, well, I know how to do a solve crossword puzzle. Okay, let's take that, what you think that mundane task, and show how good you are. You're already way past all types of hundreds of millions of people that can't think outside the box, that can't think, that don't have imaginative thinking, that can't solve a variable. For algebra, for engineering, you need this type of thinking for algebra. You need this type of thinking for mechanical engineering. You think this type of thinking, but a good mechanic or repair thinks this, because it's not always right out of the book. Right, the book repairs. Sometimes he has to put 2 and 2 is not always 4. Maybe sometimes 2 and 2, you juxtapose, you get 22. Has to think like that. To look at your good talents, look at your good talents, don't look at anyone else, and be in the active mode. Okay, that is lesson number 1 in being happy. Look at your good talents for the moment. Forget your negative traits. If a character trait is something negative, being stingy, okay, so the Rambam explains how to correct stinginess. We do stinginess by temporarily giving more and then coming back to the middle. All right, but we're not talking about character trait. If you think like a physical trait, you don't make enough money, or you're not strong enough, you're not tall enough, or women have all types of imaginative that other women are more beautiful than them, forget it. You've got your own beauty. There's nothing more beautiful woman that her own soul shines through. And so many women think that they have to put all this garbage makeup and all these type of things that make themselves look like something else, like some movie star, and the Cleopatra eyes. Come on, forget it. You don't need to go there. You don't have to waste your arm and a leg and at the hairdresser and makeup. Okay, we all look presentable, and especially women. But keep it in touch. Keep your beauty for your husband. Your beauty's not for the street. And women waste their time and effort on that rather than cultivating their own talents. Men waste time now with a guy from the American Midwest. Wonderful husband, wonderful father. And the guy was a store. Let's call it a hardware store. Make a nice living for his family. Put 3 kids through professional school. I think 1 law school, 2 kids in medical school. And he says to me, he's depressed. I said, what are you depressed about? You've got a fantastic wife and fantastic children, and you've done so well for yourself, and you're a respected member of the community. He says, Rabbi, my friends, they've had startups and they've made millions of dollars. And look at me, I haven't done anything notable. So you haven't done anything notable? You've been married for 47 years to one woman. You've got 3 professional kids. You're expecting the community. What do we think? You're better. You start up and you're not Bill Gates. It's not your job to be Bill Gates. People, because he's jealous of other people. Look at people in startup. Maybe the guy with the startup was divorced 3 times. He's got a lovely wife and lovely children. Maybe the guy that's something else. He's got special needs kids or kids with substance addictions. People don't look at their own good points. They make themselves miserable. So from this point on, be at peace with yourself, number one, look at your good points. Now, number two, and we learn how to counsel ourselves. Okay, we're going to divide our weak points into two categories. Now that we looked at good points, now I give everyone permission to divide their weak points into two categories, and you're going to counsel yourself. All right, we're going to take weak points and we're going to divide them into our controllable faults and our uncontrollable faults. For example, you're down on yourself because you love basketball, but you could never play college basketball, professional basketball, because you're 5'6". You might have been fast, but you're not fast enough to get down the court. Okay, 5'6", and these guys are 6'7" and on up, and now the players from Yugoslavia and Africa, 7'2", crazy things. Okay, so put your 5'6" in the list of uncontrollable faults. All right. Now let's do it here. If I would be counseling the Flakefoot Falcon, I would take his uncontrollable faults. Psoriasis on his legs. That's the way Hashem created him. Psoriasis on the legs. All right. Anything else? Great father, great hunter. Think of everything we said about that falcon, everything, that bird, majestic, everything to respect about him. And I said he's not good on the ground. Not good on the ground because he's melancholy, he's depressed. Melancholy, depression, that goes in the column of controllable faults. If he's melancholy and depressed, you know what I tell him to do? Flap your wings, get up in the air. As soon as he gets up in the air, he's not depressed anymore. Why? Because that's what he's supposed to be doing in life. He's supposed to be flying and hunting. He's not supposed to be on the ground. It's not his job to be with the flamingos in Miami Beach by the poolside. So all of a sudden we see, if I'm counseling this Flakefoot Falcon, okay, your uncontrollable fault, what you see as an uncontrollable fault is the psoriasis on your legs. That doesn't bother you flying, because the first thing you do when you take off the ground, naturally, you see it takes a while for the plane to take off, to tuck in its landing gear. Watch a film of a plane taking off. Maybe take it 12, 13, 14 seconds to put its landing gear. A Flakefoot Falcon, as soon as it's off the ground, whoop, the legs are tucked in. You don't even see the legs. When you see a falcon in flight, you don't even see the legs. When do you see the legs? When it's about to pounce on its prey, and then the psoriasis on the legs don't bother it because the claws are sharp like an eagle, and claws can just grab it at once, and his dexterity of his claws are unbelievable. Okay, split-second accuracy. See that fast? These little field mice, they're fast. Boop, grab it right there. It's unbelievable. His sight, his good points. We saw that his sight, his ability to fly, his ability to hunt, is tremendous. He's melancholy. Okay, he's melancholy. If you don't want to be melancholy, stay off the ground. Be in your nest. He's not melancholy in the nest. When he's with his mate, and he's with his sucklings, he's not melancholy. He's not melancholy in the nest. He's not melancholy in the desert. He's not melancholy in a canyon. He's not depressed up in the sky. So that's where he needs to be. So take this in this same way. Make yourself not with 2 columns, with 3 columns. Okay, the 3 columns, the first column is going to be your talents, your good points. That's what you found when you were doing your self-assessment. You say to the Almighty, okay, Hashem, help show my good points. So we said, well, look at the good points of that Flakefoot Falcon. He's a flying ace. He's a master hunter. He's a loyal partner. He's got almost the best eyesight of any bird around. Look at these fantastic qualities. His uncontrollable quality is psoriasis in his legs. His controllable quality is depression, is melancholy. And his melancholy is when he doesn't use his good qualities. When he's in an activity where he's using good qualities, he doesn't have depression. It's by the same thing. When a person is lethargic in front of a TV or in front of doing something passive entertainment, that person is not using his or her talents, because your talents go to waste on social media. Your talents go to waste in front of a screen. That is not a talent because it's passive. Your talents cannot be expressed in the passive mode. So this is the way to counsel yourself. The once again, we make the table and have the 3 columns. The left side column, we're going to put our good points, our talents. The middle column, we're going to put our controllable faults. And in the right column, we're going to put our uncontrollable faults. Okay, so our uncontrollable faults, maybe I don't have a mind for mathematics. Then but back in the good column, it says a mind for art. I have a mind for mechanics. I might think, not for mathematics. Okay, so then you go walk around. I go to the supermarket. I need to make something. I'll use a little pocket calculator. Use something. Okay, I can't add up numbers on my head. Find ways around it. When we see the things that we're down on ourselves about, they're nothing. And I'll give you a classic example. You take a woman. Have you ever seen a woman who all of a sudden discovered a blackhead on her nose? The world stops. That's it. This is World War III. Got a blackhead on her nose. Excuse me, beloved sister, how many pores do you have in your body? I don't know how many millions and tens of millions. One is clogged. Okay, one is clogged. So until it clears up, then put a little makeup on it. Nobody can see it. Big deal. But why the depression? What a person thinks is a bad quality is like the clogged pore, because the evil inclination takes what you think is a negative quality and blows it out of proportion. And 9 times out of 10, that negative quality is an uncontrollable quality. It's something you don't have, that you're down on yourself because you've seen someone else with it and you're jealous of that. But that is not your correction. That's not your soul correction. The person, talk to a speaker. Person that does public speaking spoke to me and was really down and depressed that other speakers, and they get paid so much for speaking, and they speak to these big crowds, and they're accepted on these speakers agencies, and he hasn't done this, he's had done that, because you're trying to be them. You're not trying to be yourself. And showed him the same thing. We can do so very much to counsel ourselves and to do good for ourselves, just in a simple exercise. And a person, you don't need someone from the outside to throw you a life rescue. You could rescue yourself, because nobody knows you like you know yourself. But if you're in doubt, and after you've done it, if you don't know you're clear, then you can ask your spiritual guide, ask someone who's close to you. If even, again, if you have an occupational therapist, or someone, but usually your spiritual guide is the best person to answer. That's why a person needs a spiritual guide that knows them. All right. So if we look at the results of our table, we've got our table with our 3 columns. We've got our talents in the left column, and we've got our controllable faults in the middle column. We've got our uncontrollable faults on the right-hand side column. We look at that table and it's finished. Wow, it's amazing. You can't believe what a great person you are. You can't believe how talented you are. And you do this exercise. Most people go for 80, 90, 95 years through life, and they never do the simple exercise. This is an exercise that old Isaac teaches us to do. Simply look at, where did old Isaac get it from? Rabbi Nachman of Breslov. Where did Rabbi Nachman of Breslov get it from? His great-grandfather, the Baal Shem Tov. Where did his great-grandfather, Baal Shem Tov, get it from? But before him. It goes back to Moses. This is Torah tradition, to be happy. But when we depart ourselves from this Torah tradition that teaches us, because the Torah is the blueprint of the soul. The Torah is happiness. No one else can bring in happiness like the Torah can. Right? So this is a simple, practical way that most people never done. We look at our talents, and then we take our faults, and we split them into 2 categories, our controllable faults and uncontrollable faults. And we look at it, and we process it, and it is unbelievable. Unbelievable. Okay, so now let's take the Flakefoot Falcon, that we've all counseled together. We're now counseling together, so we know how to counsel ourselves. It was pretty easy to counsel the Flakefoot Falcon because I made it obvious that his talents are obvious and his controllable faults are obvious, uncontrollable faults are obvious. All right? So now you, beloved brother and sister, tonight, without you even thinking, you've become a qualified therapist. And now you're going to give your prognosis to the Flakefoot Falcon. So what do you tell the Flakefoot Falcon after everything you learned about him tonight? Okay. So you tell him, listen, until veterinary science learns to find a cure for flaking avian legs, you've got to live with your flaking legs. And how do you live with them? Don't think about them because it's an uncontrollable fault. So listen, my friend, if you dream about being a peacock or a flamingo or a stork, you're going to be one unhappy camper. And you're going to miss your mission in life, and you're not going to be able to do someone else's mission in life. Okay, another bird's mission in life. So that means you're a double loser. So what we do, first thing, forget about the uncontrollable fault. And this is what we tell the Falcon. This we're going to now tell ourselves. Forget about the uncontrollable fault. From this moment on, you have no remorse that you didn't become a fashion model. You have no remorse that you didn't become a professional athlete. This was not what Hashem intended for you. Look at your mind and your talents, and it doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter how old you are. A person can make a brand new life after, especially retired, after 65. At 65, when I got my first fitness here, right here on the wall, first fitness certification in December 2014. In December 2014, I was 65 years old. 65 years old. Started learning when I was 63 and get my certification. The things I'd learned in the past because I knew that it would help my rabbinical counseling. It was something I had aptitude for, and something that no one else was doing. And I was looking and seeing a lot of people's problems come to me with spiritual problems. I saw they're both. And then from that, from the physical training, health coaching. Health coaching means how to stay away from a doctor. Doctors give you cures or medicines, pills. Health coaches tell you how to stay away from doctors. Okay. And then after that, I fell back on my old agricultural training and took out a certification in nutrition. And to be able to help people be healthy and body and soul together. And that's what we do on laserbeams.com, body and soul, not body and soul. It's something special. But I started really, I started at age 63, knowing that I wasn't really pleased in what I was doing. And it took me 4 years to get in my head to decide that I needed to embark on my own and do my own thing and not to be working for someone else with someone else. Do my own special thing because it's enough. Since then, Hashem has helped us, enabled us to help people that didn't find, for example, a couple of young people with anorexia around the world. They went to doctors, and one young lady in New York, mother of 4 children, she was on the verge of, she was down to 88 pounds, and they didn't say she was going to live long. And Hashem enabled us to help her, and now she's healthy, and Baruch Hashem, thank you. So even if we save one life, it could be maybe my entire mission on earth was to help save this one life. And meanwhile, we try to do other things. I'm just saying that this, with Lazer, I made myself a new life going back, I was a farmer. At 42, I left the farm and decided to go into yeshiva. And I got my rabbinical ordination. That was not at 42, that was at 34. But I got my rabbinical ordination at age 42, and kept on going. Then another milestone at 65, at 63, then at 65, and again at 69. All the time, this renewal. People say, well, how do you stay young? You're vibrant, you're young. Because all the time doing new things, no such thing as retirement, doing new things, putting the body in active mode, doing things, do things new challenges, looking for your qualities. Now do what we learned tonight. You're giving yourself a new lease on life. Giving yourself a new lease on life. You know something else? How many people are overweight? Because you go on laserbeams.com and there's an article about emotional eating, that people eat to try and soothe their emotions. Soothe their emotions? Do what we learned tonight. Make that column. Look for your good points. Separate between your uncontrollable faults and controllable faults. You'll see that you can overcome your controllable faults by activating your good points. And you'll find you're doing more of what you like and you're less running to the refrigerator. When people run to the refrigerator because they don't know what else to do, that at least it gives them a temporary feel good. Or women take money and go shopping because it gives them a temporary feel good. Hey, beloved sister, hold it, stop. Let's look at your talents. If you were playing the piano, or if you were doing oil paint, or if you were in a Pilates class, you wouldn't be running to the shoe store. There's another article on Laser Beams about a couple that came to me. The husband complained that his wife was a spendthrift. She's got 350 pairs of shoes. Okay, she would buy those. Her therapist said she bought shoes. All right. So now, if we look at the Flakefoot Falcon's controllable faults, okay, we come to a conclusion that when he is in the presence of other birds, not his own species, falcons and flamingos, not falcons, or flamingos or pelicans, he becomes self-conscious. Okay, stay with your own kind. Stay out. That's so easy. You don't go to Miami. Don't take vacations in Miami. Take vacations in the Rocky Mountains, up in the canyons, right? So we could see that as we stay there, we can easily now adapt this, project this on ourselves. We can all be our own counselors. By all being our own counselors, we identify our great points. We discard the negative points because we don't need them anyway. And we put a smile on our face. And that's great. And so now you can start doing it and you can monitor your progress. And a little coaching, a little advice. If I tell you, feel free. And with the group, you could feel free to send me an email if you want my input. And be careful not to confuse between your controllable faults and your uncontrollable faults. Okay. So now at this point, we're going to go back to the Heavenly Lecture Hall. I'm going to show you a new movie. And this new movie is someone that was one of my childhood heroes who counseled himself. I don't know if you know, in the UK, they don't play baseball. Baseball in America was a big sport. And my childhood hero, a lot of people don't believe it, but boy, was I a sickly child. I had so many issues as a kid and with asthma and overweight. And my mother, as a Holocaust survivor, just wanted me to eat and eat and eat and eat. She was happy when I was eating. Okay, and I had to take myself into, it came time when I was becoming a teenager, and I had terrible asthma. I couldn't run. And so I tried to do things and I would fall and run an emergency ward to get these shots so I could breathe again. And I kept on running. And first time I went to hospital, and the second time my father gave me an inhaler, did it himself. He got it from the doctor. And the third time didn't need that anymore. And eventually I outgrew it. There was my hero when I was 7 years old. I never forgot. His name was Mickey Mantle. He played for the New York Yankees. Mickey Mantle was one of the greatest baseball players that ever lived. Mickey Mantle had terrible osteomyelitis in his legs. He played a position baseball, center field, that requires a lot of running. He was a home run king. He was really fast. So crazy. Well, I once saw a movie behind the scenes of Mickey Mantle, the pain he would go through before a game and after a game, where he had the trainer, who was a physical therapist, taping up his legs. He had his legs taped. I could run with it. I don't know. But he was an all-star baseball player. The New York Yankees, year after year, when I was a kid in the late 1950s and early 1960s, every year they were in the World Series. Well, Mickey Mantle, this was my hero. He overcome osteomyelitis to be one of America's greatest athletes in history. Hall of Famer, everything. And Mickey Mantle is an example of someone that knew the right category of controllable faults and uncontrollable faults. He even took faults that most people thought were uncontrollable and he put them into the controllable. He says, if I really eat a lot of calcium and I develop my muscles and I put pressure on those bones, I can overcome the osteomyelitis. And he did. He taped them up, did unbelievable things. If we have the desire, this is where desire comes in. Desire can help you do almost anything. But once again, beloved brothers, beloved sisters, realize that the Creator loves you. The Creator created you to be the best person on earth for who you are and what you are. And that's what you get. Do your thing and don't be jealous of anyone else. Don't ever look at anyone else. And Hashem should help you be happy and successful until 120 years and beyond. God bless.